Alright, this is it. We are down to the very, very last movie of the MCU for me, and the last film of the John Watts Spider-Man trilogy. And I gotta say, did John Watts finally learn his lesson from the last two times? Hey everyone, it's Movie Lover 120 here, and I'm here with a brand new movie review. And this movie review is going to be for a film that actually came out tonight in my area. I just got back from seeing this. It's around nearly 10 o'clock p.m. And the movie I'm going to be reviewing is actually none other than the very, very, very final movie in the MCU that I'm going to be watching. And that is Spider-Man No Way Home. So yeah, like I've already said before many times, this was going to be the very final movie in the MCU that I will be watching, because after this movie, I plan to retire. I don't plan to watch any of the dumb Disney Plus shows. I don't plan to watch the rest of the Phase 4 movies, and this is going to be the movie that ended it off, especially thanks to the disaster last month that was Crap Turnals. But yeah, anyway, with that being said, because Endgame was kind of the real ending to the MCU for me, but I still wanted to watch Far From Home and No Way Home because I wanted to see how Parker's story was going to end first before I really capped it off. But with that being said, let's begin the review. So, with the plot, which is, of course, after the events of No Way Home, Spider-Man's identity is now revealed, and now Peter Parker has to go to Doctor Strange for help. When the spell goes wrong, dangerous foes from other worlds and the other Spider-Man movies, like you saw in the trailers, start to appear, forcing Peter to discover what it truly means to be Spider-Man. So yeah. So going to this movie, I had mixed feelings for many reasons. One, I am not too big of a fan of the Holland Spider-Man movies. I mean, I decently enjoyed Far From Home, was not a fan of Homecoming. Two, some things seemed a little bit over the place. Three, while I was excited to see Doc Ock in the teaser, I had fears they were going to ruin his redemption arc at the end of Spider-Man 2. Ooh. And finally, this came out a month after the worst MCU film ever, Crap Turnals. Plus, I've been on MCU fatigue seeing Endgame since I see no reason to even continue the MCU now. Because Endgame beautifully kind of ended it for me. So, but with that being said, just got back from seeing the film, and what did I think of it? I thought it was the best of the Holland trilogy. That's for sure. But the best Spider-Man movie ever? No. No. I will not even say that. Not even close. For me, this would be in fourth best Spider-Man movie ever. It doesn't even top Spider-Man 2002 either. Spider-Man 2, aka 2004, Spider-Man 2 is and always will be the best Spider-Man movie ever. It can never be replaced. However, this film was definitely a massive improvement over last year's Black Widow, Shang-Chi, and even Crap Turnals, which were all released this year. There was plenty of great fan service. I will not be revealing the type of fan service from other characters. With all the villains, it provides some decent closure to this Spider-Man trilogy and had plenty of great action sequences. Now for the story. The story is actually great. I was really worried with all the multiverse elements that the focus could have been taken off of a character arc for Spider-Man, but it nails the element. Peter has a much better arc and it develops incredibly well, and for me it was a real highlight. It is obviously great seeing the returning villains and they are treated with respect and their characters are further explored. The ending feels deserved because you're so invested in what it feels really earned. And then comes the script. A lot of MCU films seem to get criticized for the scripts including too much humor in them, but much like with the Russell films, I actually think the balance is really handled well here. Yes, there are funny moments here, but they didn't outweigh the serious and darker parts of the film, unlike Captain Marvel. Now, style. As for the film's style, looked really great, and the action sequences were all so fun, and seeing the MCU Spider-Man going against villains from the other franchises worked extremely well and allowed for some very fun sequences. The pace of the film is also really good, and despite being 2 hours and 30 minutes, it never feels too long, unlike Crapturnals. And I honestly believe that there isn't really any filler here, which is an impressive feat. And I really loved, like, especially with Electro, which Jamie Foxx came back to play, which wasn't the worst Spider-Man movie ever. I loved what they did with Electro here. I like they made him kind of a bit of a comedic goof, and I like what they really kind of did with him. And I like they kind of improved him a lot better. And I like, you know what's better? They did not ruin Doc Ock's story in here. This actually takes place before he turned good and when he was still evil, before he died in Spider-Man 2. And I really like what they did with his story here. They kind of even further improved on his redemption arc for me, and that really worked so well. Yeah. So I liked what they did there. And now on to the bad stuff of a film. And why it doesn't come close to being the best Spider-Man movie. It can get messy and forced at times. Like, in order for the multiverse concept to happen, it seems like it endures with some cheap writings. The bigger MCU becomes, a lot of things have to compromise with the big picture. It creates a lot of ripples that don't match the flow, hence it becomes forced and harder to get the consistency that now it should be. A lot of cringe dialogue scenes and character inconsistency. Again, too forced, specifically the beginning where Parker and Michelle Jones fly past a billboard that's playing that Steve Rogers musical at the beginning of the film from the Hawkeye that I heard about. Where Michelle makes, and even don't get me started on that scene where Michelle makes Jones makes Doctor Strange say please, like in the trailers, and when they laughed at Octavius' name, those I did not like. And I still, once again, did not like Aunt Bay. Aunt Bay had a little more screen time in this in Far From Home. However, she finally... Yes, Norman Osborn is in this movie. Willem Dafoe's Green Goblin is in this movie. And guess what? This is going to be a big spoiler, guys. But she gets killed by Green Goblin. Like, when Green Goblin goes back to being evil and convinces all the villains to just stay to their evil forms for the Green Goblin curse he has. And the first thing he does before he flees, he throws a pumpkin bomb. Peter tries to catch it, but it reflects on Aunt Bay, and she actually straight up dies after that. And I clapped and guess what? This was such a satisfying moment. I clapped and cheered with so much praise when she died. Like, everyone was like all sad and stuff, but I don't like this version of Aunt May. Like, Aunt May is the only better Aunt Mays for me are Rosemary Harris from the Sam Raimi films, and even Sally Field from the Mark Webb films. I do not like how they portray Aunt May in this series, so I was so satisfied to see this moment. I was like, everyone seemed like they were crying, but I went, yes! And guess what? I'm glad I did not get told to shut up, and I was actually allowed to just have fun and express my opinion. Nobody got all mad at me. They just kept watching the movie. Nobody like stared at me, got all angry at me. It was awesome. I actually got to express my opinion for once without getting in so much trouble. Now, and I'm a little mixed on the ending, too. Since the spell officially happened, it seems like Parker's story arc in MCU is now practically kind of retconned, although it does provide closure to the Holland story a little bit, but I can see why they went, but I'm a little more mixed on it. It's also a good ending, and I also have some problems with the ending. Now, anyway. Now, does this change my thoughts on retiring? No. This movie is the final chapter of the MCU for me. It was a fun ride, but now the journey is over and it's time for me to grow up and move on to other things now. I still at least have Morbius, The Batman, and Across the Spider-Verse Part 1 next year, but my time in the MCU is done. For good. I will not be watching Multiverse of Madness. I didn't watch the post-credit scene. I didn't even watch the Multiverse of Madness teaser. I left before that could even begin. So yeah, my time in the MCU is over. And that's just the way it's going to be. But then in the end, if you like this trilogy and want to see some closure to it, then go see this movie for sure. It's probably my fourth favorite Spider-Man movie ever, and here's how I'm going to rank it. I am going to give Spider-Man No Way Home a 9 out of 10. And there we go. That's it for my review of No Way Home. And you're probably now wondering, there's only now one more movie to go this year, and I think you can all guess what it is. Yep, the last movie I'm going to be reviewing this year is The Matrix Resurrections, the very last one blockbuster I'll have to get through this December before I take my big holiday break. But until then, that'll be it for this review. Thank you all for watching, and if you like this and want to see more, then don't forget to like, subscribe to Movie Lover 120.